In 1983, 14-year-old Wendy Stephens simply disappeared. Well, last month, 3.5 decades later, her family finally found out what happened.
Wendy was the victim of a serial killer from Washington State. DNA technology helped investigators finally identify her remains.
And tonight, Denver 7's Megan Lopez and photojournalist Andrew Bray show us how.
So remote that it took the team almost 6 hours.
Every year, 50,000 people disappear.
I see my dog on the other side of center field carrying something.
25,000 of them never resurface.
He walked up to me and set a bone down.
When we look at 1983, when this girl disappeared, it was easier to disappear then than now.
We figured it was a hip bone off of a person.
We averaged anywhere from 83 to 108 homicides a year.
Just 3 days later, 3 more victims.
There are a lot of people that turn up missing and they're never found.
26 women are dead, another 15 missing.
The Green River slayings is a classic example.
The Green River murders, a series of terrible crimes.
I'm Dave Reichert. I was the lead investigator. I began the case in 1982.
This Sunday, it will be 2 years since the first victim was discovered.
July of 1982, Wendy Caulfield was found.
I'm scared. I really am. I'm almost afraid to open up my doors.
August 12th of 1982, Debbie Bonner was found.
At this point, police don't know the sex, race, or age of the deceased.
Then on August 15th, 2 more bodies were found.
While the search for the killer continues, the number of murdered and missing women grows.
I found a 3rd body on the riverbank that day.
He'd been searching, like I said, for about an hour. We brought him down through the gully up to this other body.
I'm doing this so that guy can get nailed.
They have literally thousands of leads to follow.
We knew we had a serial killer.
The skeletons were found in a likely area.
One question remains: how much longer?
The first body was found lying in a wooded area just southwest of this baseball field. The caretaker's dog...
I was at that site where Wendy's body was found. She was in a very swampy, muddy area.
And my son looked at me and says, "Dad."
She was found by someone who lived nearby. The sad part is, during that investigation, you had so many unidentified remains that you had to put numbers to the bodies. It's the only way we could keep track.
Ridgway confessed to strangling dozens of women and dumping their bodies in forested and rural areas around King County.
We announced the arrest of Gary Ridgway in 2001.
He's serving 49 life sentences for 49 murdered women.
The sheriff's office obviously had done everything in their toolbox to try to get these young ladies ID'd.
2 boys find the body of...
They had these bones identified as bones 10 for a long time.
We had no DNA back then.
We were hopeful that DNA would solve these cases. Ultimately it did, but we needed another tool.
A teenager found dead in Seattle in 1984 has been identified as 14-year-old Wendy Stephens of Denver.
DNA Doe Project is a nonprofit organization. We restore the names of John Does and Jane Does. We work on their genealogy using DNA testing.
Forensic genealogy is taking a profile from the bone. They're using public websites where people have uploaded their DNA for ancestry.
What we were able to see for Wendy was a mix of 3rd and 4th cousins.
I found a cluster of matches on the maternal side, a cluster of matches on the paternal side. They had 2 descendants who married each other, and those turned out to be Wendy's parents.
This forensic genealogy was the key.
A set of bones still not identified.
People didn't believe we were ever going to solve this case.
It was an amazing moment. I mean, I've been trying for almost 25 years.
We're here to give Wendy her name back, to restore her power.
And for that moment that I stopped referring to her as Bones 10 and got to refer to her as Wendy, that was a big moment for me.
So we're looking for bone fragments and we're looking for charcoal.
We have bones 17 and bones 20. We're very much hoping that the new tools in the toolbox will eventually lead to those identifications.
there's never closure. About the most you can expect, the parents can expect, are some answers.
Another still unidentified victim is discovered.
The only thing you own your entire life is your name. And to have that taken away when you die, that's not fair. And we know that our job is to restore that name and restore who that person was and let them go home to their family.